We see sustainability as really a part of our overall corporate strategy. It also can drive competitive advantage. So the way we think about it is really in three buckets. One is how do we drive our business through sustainability? For example, we have a large environmental portfolio of products that drive sustainability by reducing the need for energy, for water, reducing CO2 or waste, whatever. Secondly, we try to do a lot inside the company as well, so what we call walk the talk. Are we doing what we're talking to our customers about? Are we trying to make our buildings more efficient? Are we trying to make our products more efficient? Are we trying to get our employees engaged in driving sustainability at our own facilities and things? So it's also, and then thirdly, we engage a lot with leaders in the environmental world and sustainability, et cetera, because we believe it's important to understand what are all the issues out there and where should we be engaging and where should we not be engaging. So it's really one of the most, it sort of cuts through all of Siemens. The conflict issue is an interesting one. I'll give you a good example. A few years ago when this Keystone Pipeline thing heated up, there was quite a bit of discussion within the company about how we should support this, given that there was so much environmental pushback. And of course, there's a lot of technology in the pipeline and that whole process that Siemens provides. And where we come out on that is we're very supportive of the Keystone Pipeline, and we see the need to bring our technology to help the customer with the challenges that that they have on the pipeline. And what ways can we do to help control the flow of oil better? What ways can we find to put more energy efficient motors in there? I mean, how do we make this thing more fit environmentally, not just economically, into the overall energy scheme of things? So we really see, again, the challenge is really to help customers and to help suppliers figure out how we can come up with more sustainable solutions to big challenges like the Keystone Pipeline. Siemens has been around for over 160 years, and we've been involved in energy for most of that time. We see that we need to pursue all of these paths for energy, and the obvious reason is that if I've been in energy for about 35 years. If you take a look over time, the price of oil goes up and it comes down. The price of gas goes up and it comes down. People have been talking about a lot of renewable technologies for decades. Now that's all coming to fruition. A lot of people thought 20, 30 years ago, wind would never be something that could be competitive with other forms of energy. So we can't just push on one. A lot of people say, well, now the answer is gas. Well, yes, gas for the U.S. is a good answer because we have gas is plentiful. The price has been brought down. It can be a competitive advantage for the country and a lot of companies operating here. But we don't know how long gas is going to stay at this price. So I think pushing other technologies is good. And so we spend a lot of our effort really driving down the cost of these technologies and making them more effective. For example, in many places, we acquired a wind business about 7, 8 years ago. In many places where we install wind now, wind is competitive with gas. We've brought the cost down considerably. So, no one would have thought that 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago because wind was much more expensive at that point than where we are with gas and things. So we really think you got to pursue all of them. We've got a lot of new technologies pursuing. We're one of the world leaders in tidal energy. Now, the cost of tidal energy now is still well above conventional technologies, but we believe over time we may be able to bring that cost down. So we're pushing on all the avenues because you just don't know what's going to happen in the world and what breakthroughs are going to happen in various technologies. We do play a pretty active role in trying to drive change in energy, not just by saying we're pursuing all technologies, but for example, we've been pretty outspoken in Europe that Europe needs to look holistically at Europe and figure out where are the best places, for example, to put renewables in place. We don't want to put you don't want to put renewables every place. You want to put them in places where they're the most efficient and most effective, and use other technologies in other places. In places like Germany and other parts of Europe, there is an opportunity perhaps to do some fracking. We've been saying that ought to be looked at. Of course, we need to do it in the right way environmentally to be cautious about any environmental challenges. But on the other hand, there might be an opportunity there, and given what's happening around the world geopolitically, having access to some of this gas could be a very positive thing. We also need to look hard in the U.S. at not just going down a single path, as I was saying before, around gas. We need to make sure we're taking a look. 5 or 6 years ago, everyone was talking about clean coal and carbon capture and sequestration. That's lost a lot of momentum. We're still doing things around clean coal and carbon capture and sequestration. We still think we need to be pushing on those technologies, although there's not as much money globally being put towards that. Coal is going to be around for a long, long time. But we need to think about how we can make coal more competitive and cleaner in a way that we can capture and sequester, or other technologies for limiting the CO2. So that's what we see as one of the big challenges around the world, is pushing in all areas, but also providing our perspective on where we think these industries are going and what we need to do, how countries and how companies need to think about those issues globally.